अस्सलाम वालेकुम वरहमतुल्लाहि वबरकातुहू। आप सबको देखने वालों और सुनने वालों, मैं हूँ आज मौजूद यहाँ मोहम्मद हारी बूटा के साथ, जो ब्रैडफोर्ड साउथ के लिए उम्मीदवार हैं। ब्रैडफोर्ड साउथ के एमपी बनने के लिए पार्लियामेंट में जाने की इनकी कोशिश है। सो आई विल खुश आमदीद कहते हैं, वेलकम कहते हैं। ये प्रोग्राम जो है ना अंग्रेज़ी में होगा for listeners out there, and we'll try to do as much Urdu or Punjabi as we can. Mix and match, yeah. So हारी साहब, पहले आपने बताया आपका नाम जो है निकनेम हारी कैसे बना हुआ आपने बता चुके हैं। तो आज मैं पूछना चाहता हूँ कि आपको पॉलिटिक्स में what led you, inspired you to get involved in politics? That's the first question I think young people will be asking. The politicians, you know.
Very interesting. जबार भाई, पहले तो मैं आपके लिसनर्स को अस्सलाम वालेकुम कहता हूँ, और उसके बाद ये जो क्वेश्चन आपने पूछा है, I think we're going to speak in English, aren't we?
English, yeah.
English mostly. So let's start in English. I joined the British Royal Navy in 1973, and I think you probably see my ship from the Falklands behind me, and there's medals up there you can probably see as well from the Falklands and all that. Anyway, I was a 17-year-old when I joined the British Royal Navy, and February 1973 I went and joined a place called HMS Raleigh in Plymouth, and in our first 6 weeks of basic training, everybody comes together. Doesn't matter what branch you're going in, but you always come and do the first 6 weeks of basic training of getting into the Navy and get you off the ground, if you like, you know, the basics. Right. And I'd already learnt the basics anyway, because I used to be in the Sea Cadets in Bradford, which is up in, I think, Feversham Street now. Feversham, Bath, it used to be.
Okay.
Bath, it's the Sea Cadets now there, called TS Aurora. Now, I joined TS Aurora when I was about 14-year-old, 15-year-old, back in 60... whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, I joined the Royal Navy in 1973, February 1973, and during our basic training, there's about 28 of us in this big dormitory. You know, we used to have like dormers. And then one evening, after about 4 or 5 weeks of getting to know each other, then it was the old, you know, what should we call you? What should we call you? Well, my name's Mohammad Boota. What should we call you? You know. With some of the English names, it's very easy. If somebody's called Whiskey, if somebody's called Walker, then it's Whiskey Walker. It's a brand, you know. It's just an automatic thing. It's like, somebody's name is Knight, it's Dolly Knight, Smudge Smith, Buster Brown, you know. And these are all common English names that they get translated into these nicknames. So then they come to me and say, Mohammed, what should we call him? Mo, Mong, you know. And nothing was coming together, and there was this young lad. He was younger than me even. I was 17, so he was probably younger than me, 16. And his name was Trevorrow. And he was opposite me. His bed was opposite my bed. So he's about 16, 17 beds, and then opposite, you know, each other. We had people opposite as well. And so this Trevorrow went, let's call him Harry. So then Harry was born. Harry was born in March 1973. And so I've been called, like, you know, for over 50 years now, I've been called Harry. It's just basically become me at the end of the day, you know. But fighting the election, I've always gone under Harry, because a lot of people know me as Harry. But this time, people get confused, you know, say, well, is he a Sikh? Is he English or what? So on my leaflet, I have put on there Mohammad Harry Boota, to get rid of some doubts, and so hopefully that'll work in this campaign.
Right. Okay. So I think I've heard you mention that your political journey started with the different.
Oh yeah. Well, I think it started with yellow.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well, you
it
always.
goes-
So you've had.
I was broken in with yellow.
Yeah. I think were you involved in the Brexit? Or did you
No,
have a
that
part?
came long time
Long
after.
time ago.
I joined, my political journey started in 2007, and I was in Haywood in Lancashire. And one Remembrance Sunday in 2007, I was standing behind a friend of mine called Peter Rush, who sadly
Yeah.
passed away, I heard recently. He was a councillor in Haywood.
Okay.
I was standing behind him, and we'd just taken the salute march past from the on the cenotaph on this Remembrance Sunday, and I just suddenly, I have no idea why, out of the blue, I turned to Peter, and he was standing in front of me. I said, Peter, I've decided to join your party. And it was Lib Dems. I don't know what Lib Dems were. Because I was apolitical, in the armed forces, no interest in politics. But it was then, 10 years, nearly 11 years after I left the Navy, I became active in trying to take part in politics. And so I said, Peter, I'm going to decide to come and join the party. And he looked behind me and says, have they? Like in a Lancashire accent. And I said, aye. So there we go. And from there on, we went on to see the MP that afternoon in Rochdale. Introduced myself. He introduced me to him. He says, Harry's ex-Navy, and he's decided to come and join our party. And so it began my journey into politics in Lib Dems. So I stood in the first year of being with the Lib Dems. In 2008, I stood for them in Haywood for the council elections.
For the council elections,
yeah.
right.
And I was only it was quite good because it's a very racist town, is Haywood. It's an extremely racist town that I lived in. But I had a restaurant there. A lot of people knew me. And I managed to be, I think it's 11 votes behind Conservative for second place, standing for the first time.
Well, that's really good.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
good. So, yeah, what we'll do is, what I want to know is, basically a lot of listeners who are watching from Bradford South will want to know what you got to offer for them. We'll talk about domestics here, and then we'll move on to maybe something international, maybe foreign policy. What people are concerned about is, where's our money going to? Where are taxpayers' money going to?
Well, last week, they burnt £120 billion worth, just like that, without blinking an eyelid,
Sorry,
120 billion, and that's what the unused and PPE equipment, like personal protection equipment that bought during COVID, which hadn't been used or for whatever reason, and so they decided to burn it last week and it was like £120 billion down the drain. Okay, that's
shocking.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Shocking. So you multiply that by n-folds of the waste that took place during COVID. Okay, where's all the money gone? It's gone in the pocket of the rich friends of the Conservatives. In a very generalised statement, if you like. That's where it's gone. Where does it go locally? We've got incompetent council. Our elected councillors are so incompetent, they don't even take notice of what's going in and out. As long as it's going in their pockets, that's all they worry about. Okay, they don't address any issues because they are unable to challenge the authorities. They don't even probably know what their own standing orders are and anything else, which is like basics of running the council. We have a lot of waste problem.
Yeah.
And besides the waste, there is the creaming it off, creaming it off. Let's forget the public, let's cream off what we can, line our pockets, line our friends' pockets, and it's happening throughout. I've been honing this. I know my concerns about this. I've seen first-hand waste in the armed forces, colossal amount of waste. Then we've got colossal amount of waste. It's enough to run a small country, the amount of waste that takes place in the NHS. And they still keep asking for more and more money, more money. What we need is rationalisation of things we already have, not more money. Joe Public, where we are, right, there's something to be very little concern. It's like giving them a little morsel, right, and let them say thank you. That's the attitude that I see. Let's give them a little morsel and then let them say, thank you, please sir, may I have another? You know what I mean?
Just to continue, I mean, something just popped up in my mind. I just want to know, with this whole focus on immigration, you know, we've had the Labour leader talking about the Bengalis.
Yes, I heard that. Very serious.
Yeah, very sickening to hear, you know, this type of, what is it called, to try to use the racial division and to play
the race card.
Play the race card and far right extremism.
He's trying to feed into Farage's narrative so that, you know, try and get their votes as well. It's all about votes. It's buying votes. They throw our money away during election time. They'll spend millions of pounds of our money trying to buy our votes, right, to have power over us. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, he just doesn't make. So he's playing a very dirty game. Now he started on the, you know, Farage is against every kind of immigration, and we got now Keir Starmer, you know, on the bandwagon as well, trying to appease him. The Tories have always tried to appease this extreme racist Nigel Farage, whose party I used to be in 2015 when I came here to fight the general election in Bradford West. I was with Nigel Farage, and today I am with George Galloway, obviously, in his party, but I stood against him in 2015 in Bradford West. So the race card that's going on is a very serious and a sick.
Would you say it's Islamophobe? Because, well, there's Islamophobia, racism. Basically, what I'm trying to say is they're trying to blame immigration and racism, race card, because they want to blame something else for their fault.
It's a diversion.
So what is it that they want to divert from?
From their own incompetence. Because it's an easy card to play, isn't it? Because they're all incompetent. You've got Rishi Sunak, who's so incompetent. He's the lowest ratings ever, I think, any Prime Minister, any serving Prime Minister in the history of UK. He's got the lowest ratings, right? So he's absolutely and utterly incompetent in what he's done. And he thought, you know, the eat out to work out policies that he feels so proud of, it was wasting our money. Yeah. Totally wasted our money. PPE spent billions of it on our money, and now it's all gone up in smoke. And there is, do you know what, Jabbar? There is no redress. There's no redress for it. None whatsoever. They've spent. He'll go. He'll get his medals. He'll get everything. You know, all the bells and whistles and lots of pension for himself. Yet there is no redress for what they've damaged, the damage they've caused our country whatsoever. They won't
accept their own faults.
As far as I'll give Nigel Farage a bloody warning, right? You get all the immigrations out of this country and you'll be out on your ass, right? Because you'll have the lazy ones that don't want to do work and the ones that immigrants are doing, right? So what are you talking about, man?
Should we take a short break and come back?
If you want to.
Yeah, we'll take a short break. Thank you for everybody watching. Please do comment, like and share, subscribe, and continue watching part 2 of the my exclusive with Boota, Mohammad Boota in Bradford South. Before the break, we've been talking about Bradford South, the candidate for Bradford South, Mohammad Boota. He is with me. हमने बात की है कि यहाँ पे इस मुल्क में क्या हो रहा है, यहाँ पे ہمارے جو مسئلے مسائل ہیں ان پہ نظر ہم نے ڈالی ہے، اینڈ ہمارے جو ویوز ہیں، جو ہماری سوچ ہے کہ یہاں پہ بہت خرابیاں ہیں اس ملک میں، تو کچھ اردو میں بھی آپ بتا سکتے ہیں کچھ تھوڑا سا؟
کوشش کرتا ہوں مگر پرومس نہیں کر سکتا.
تو یہ آپ بتائیں کہ یہ دو پارٹی جو سسٹم اس ملک میں چل رہی ہے، آپ کیا سمجھتے ہیں یہ کامیاب ہو رہی ہے یا یہ نقصان دہ ہے کہ دو پارٹی سسٹم جو ہے نا، you can mention in English as well if you want to.
Right, thank you. The two-party system. The blight of our politics is the two-party system. کیونکہ یہ جو ٹو پارٹیز ہے، ایک کو پتہ ہوتا ہے کہ صرف وقت ہی ہے، تھوڑا سا اور وقت ہے، 10 سال ہو 5 سال ہو. لاسٹ ٹائم 13 years لیبر پاور میں تھی، اس وقت کنسرویٹو 14 سال پاور میں آ گئے ہیں، اور نیکسٹ ٹائم لیبر نے آنا ہی آنا ہے، کیونکہ یہ ہر 10 12 15 سال بعد عوام اک جاتی ہے پارٹی سے. جو بھی ہے اچھا بھی ہو تو نا وہ اک جائے گی، اس کو چینج کرنا ہے، تبدیل کرنا ہے. تو دوسری پارٹی کو پتہ ہے کہ ہمارا وقت آ ہی جانا ہے، اور جو بھی ہو آ جانا ہے. ان کا بھی آ گیا ہے، مگر حکومت کے قابل نہیں ہے. یہ کیئر سٹارمر ہے، اتنا زائنسٹ بندہ ہے ہمارے مسلمانوں کے خلاف. تو وہ بہت بہت برا ہمارے لیے اس کا آنا ہے، مسلمانوں کے لیے بہت برا ہے اس کا آنا. مگر ہمارا اس میں کوئی حصہ نہیں ہے، کیونکہ یہ ٹو پارٹی سسٹم چل رہا ہے. اس میں ایک نے آنا ہے، ایک نے جانا ہے. اور باقی یہ چھوٹی چھوٹی پارٹیاں ہیں، ان کا کوئی طاقت نہیں رہتی. اور اس کا ایک ہی حل ہے، وہ اس کو کہتے ہیں PR، پروپورشنل ریپرزنٹیشن. تو آپ جانتے ہیں نا کہ جو ممبر آف یورپین پارلیمنٹ الیکشنز ہوتے تھے نا، یورپین الیکشنز، وہ PR پر
ہوتے ہیں.
تو اس میں برابری آ جاتی ہے، چھوٹیوں پارٹی کا بھی حصہ اس میں شامل ہو جاتا ہے. اور اسمال پارٹیز MPs can get elected because it depends on the share of the vote, the total share of the vote, right? So inshallah we did try in 2010 to bring in PR, but it did not work because it does not serve the purpose of the larger parties, and therefore it was turned down. Our drive for the Workers' Party, George Galloway's Workers' Party, is to try and aim for PR, to try and get for fairness in politics by trying to get a PR reinstated, or not reinstated, but legislated for.
So یہ جو ابھی جو these elections are coming up, what جو غزہ میں ہو رہا ہے، فلسطین میں ہو رہا ہے، why is going to be obviously our community, Muslim community is already under the scrutiny of the last 20-25 years since the جب سب جو ہے نا مسلم اور اسلام پر ساری فوکس پر ہی ہے کہ یہ ایکسٹریمسٹ ہیں، یہ کمیونٹی جو ہے یہ ہمارے اندر جو کام رہ رہی ہے اس پہ نظر رکھو. پریونٹ پالیسی آئی ہے، پھر لیجسلیشن اینٹی ٹیررزم لیجسلیشن آیا ہے. ہمارے بچے نماز پڑھتے ہیں یا کوئی اور ایسی عبادات کرتے ہیں تو انہیں لیبل کیا جاتا ہے، پریونٹ سے they send them to prevent. So it's like what I compare it to is back in the 50s, the MacArthur era, where there was a witch hunt against communists. I mean, one of my favorite books, I don't know if you know, The Crucible, talks about how, Arthur Miller wrote it. And so we moved on from, becoming the scapegoat, where one time, the Jewish people were the scapegoat for all the problems. Then, you had the communists, socialists who were scapegoated. Now it's Muslims community, or Muslims that speak out. They get labeled extremist. And which is I think is pretty dangerous, because it's driving the Muslim voices down. Those who want to speak their mind.
It's not down. The thing that worries me is the narrative that the Western world plays against the Muslims, right? If you look at, we can go on the Americans' narrative, and we, the British, follow what the Americans do. You know, they're always hanging on to the backside and keep sniffing whatever they throw at us. So, you know, if the American wants to have a war with somebody, which is American economy will collapse if there was no wars around the world. So their lobbyists are the big arms companies want to keep the wars going wherever they're burning, so that their arms keep flowing and their economy keeps turning over on the strength of the arms sales around the world.
Yeah.
So Americans don't want peace. You know, if they have peace in the world, then United States will very quickly collapse. Its economy will collapse. That's how big the arms sales are from the Americans, right? So, and then what did they do? If you look at history, Afghanistan, Syria, Iraq, you know, all the Muslim countries, they go and bomb, right? And then they expect no repercussions. They think, well, we'll keep you in your place, you know, we'll go and bomb your territory, but please don't come out and do anything with us. Don't come after us. Don't come on our territory and start doing anything that will upset us or upset our nation, our people. So every time it's happened, they bombed 7/11, 9/11, you know, 7/7, all these names they give, acronyms for various Muslim atrocities that occur on Western territories, if you like. But they then big issue of one person, you know, killing anybody on the Western shores. A Muslim becomes a huge target. It becomes international target. It becomes the international news, every channel in the world. And yet you have the likes of I think it was a Danish guy who killed, 70 odd people. Can't remember his name now. But
they don't label them as extremists or
they're
terrorists.
extremists. No,
Or their race or their religion doesn't come into question.
Nothing comes into it, right? It's only when a Muslim does anything, he might be mental. Yeah, all people have mental issues. They're not religious ones, but people. It's not the religious label that we should be talking about. It's that person. He's got a mental issue. Okay?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And that it doesn't matter. It's a Muslim, Christian, Jewish, Buddhist. No, Buddhists are peaceful.
They,
they say.
I mean, the issue is they won't put the mental issue of the Muslim.
No, they put the mental issues of the Muslims. Yet.
Of the native or the Western guy.
Yeah, and they never mention religion.
They'll say he's got a mental problem.
No.
He's a bad.
That's
what we
lone wolf.
Lone wolf.
Oh, he's a lone wolf, you know. My God. It's so bad. I think they're ticks for fools. They play the narrative, they play racist cards all the time. Europe is a very racist country. I've been there, I've travelled through it, and you feel unsafe wherever you go. You know, somebody's always watching you, I think, and that's how I felt. And I don't know if anybody else got the same experience or not.
I mean, in Bradford, I've had experiences with racism, but you know, not to say that I'm gonna give the racism back. You know, as Muslims, we don't, as insan, we do not justify racism. Racism, this is a Western disease, I think.
It's a Western narrative.
Colonial.
When I joined the Royal Navy in '73, when at the same during that time, you used to get buses coming from London, bus loads of skinheads, and it used to be a newspaper headline. You'd see it in the Sun newspaper saying, "Skinheads going to Bradford, packy bashing." You know, that was the word used. And you can go back and look at the papers from the '70s, you know, and it was an open thing. Racism was an open thing, and I joined the British Navy then, by the way. I suffered it, but
it's basically let's just now quickly move on to what do we see as solutions for Bradford South and the UK, Middle East. You know, what is going to solve these problems? Maybe we can't do it overnight. We're not saying we've got a magic wand. So what have you got? What kind of, forget about, you know, obviously we're standing for elections. Let's talk about as a community or as a nation, and I'm not talking on the wider community as well. non-Muslim, Muslims. How can we go forward?
To create a good society, a foundations of a good society
Yeah.
is a good education. Okay? So if every child is educated to a minimum standard, okay, where they are able to have a thinking mind, an exploratory mind, a scientific mind, a mathematical mind, or literal mind. It doesn't matter what kind of a mind, but it needs to have the basic building blocks for that person to have that in place, so they can go in society, go in the world, and explore with these tools, these basic tools. Because when you're at school, you're only taught basics of how to, where to, etc., etc. Right? So if we give good education, and good education starts from it, if you can instill discipline between the age of 5 to 7, 8, like 2-3 years are very, very crucial. Those are the building block years.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's where we should need to concentrate. And the Workers' Party, our policy on education is that every child deserves a good education, a healthy meal, right, a free meal during the day, and free transport. All right. Until they leave secondary school, right, they should be able to get free transport all the way to school and back, and they should have one healthy meal every day, okay, even through term time.
Yeah.
Through term time as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. I think we did say through term. If they are going into school in term, they'll be supplied with a meal.
Yeah, so all these austerity measures that are taking place, public services, where's the money going to? Public services are being caught. Austerity, I remember the credit crunch. The money was there for the banks.
Yeah.
The money
It's there for Israel now. The money's there for Israel. The money's there for Ukraine. Money's there.
We'll talk about, I think we'll come back to Ukraine and Palestine, but on Israel getting the money. But we felt that, obviously the austerity done here, money could be saved from there and be spent here.
Well, I'll give you a couple of things here. Today happens to be the day that the junior doctors are going on another 5 days worth of strike, like fighting for their livelihoods. And I think they've been offered 9% or something like that. I'm not too sure. And they're after 35%, which again, I think that could be an unreasonable demand.
Yeah.
Because they say the country can't afford it, yet again, we can buy weapons and we can send weapons to Ukraine and Israel and all that we can find money for that. So, there's an imbalance.
Yeah.
It seems an imbalance. Is the country first or arms first?
Yeah.
Arms is winning at the moment. So we need to divert money. The other thing that let me give you a figure. I think my leader, George Galloway, has been airing that for the last few days as well. £12,000 per minute. That's how much we spend on nuclear, British nuclear. Okay,
12,000
per minute.
Per minute.
Right. So when you put that into that context, it's a huge amount of money.
Huge amount of money. Yeah.
That's on our nuclear.
Nuclear.
Then we got the NATO membership. £60 billion a year.
Whoa.
£60 billion a year we spend on NATO membership. Okay, or on NATO arms and things like that. Huge amount of money, right? The colossal amount are going in these wastes.
Where's this money coming from? It's taxpayers' money.
If you look at
taxpayer money, it's my money, your money.
It's my money, your money. But I've not looked at the recent figures of what our country's national debt is. I think it's over 90% now. It's a 90% GDP. I think it is. I'm not too sure.
Across the amount, government hasn't got money. It just borrows.
It borrows. And yet you have to work your backside off.
Right? They just need to go and
if you don't pay your council rate, if you don't pay your council rate, they'll send these thieves called I'll call you thieves, right? Because that's what you are at the end of the day. Legalized theft of people's property. They'll call them bailiffs, I think. Yes, I am standing for a member of parliament, and I'll say those words because that's what you guys behave like. So these bailiffs, they can send them down to a person's house who hasn't paid his £100 or £200 council tax, right? And you say these colossal amounts of waste by these by these bureaucrats and things like that, right? It just absolutely makes me seethe. It makes me cry, the amount of waste that takes place, and then they penalise the poor people, right? Us, we are the poor people.
Yeah.
Yet, we'll have a bailiff outside there trying to clear our house out for the sake of a couple of £100.
I see that.
It's sick. It's sick.
It is, it makes you cry. And when you walk in town, I see homeless people. It's just like, you don't know what to do, because we've got a place, a hostel where, vulnerable people live. And, you see every day in, day out, and you're thinking, why are these people not given real proper housing and looked after, or basically, given help?
Then you call yourself the sixth richest nation in the world or something like that, and yet we see food banks. Families who are working can't afford to feed their children. People are working, can't afford, because the wages are so low, and that's why the Workers' Party is saying that we should have a minimum income of £21,200 before you start paying tax, okay, which will save about 2 million people, £1,500 to £2,000 a year.
Yeah.
So we've got some good policies from the Workers' Party for the people, because we, at the end of the day, are taking that place which Labour has left as the Workers' Party, right? Because Labour used to be the Workers' Party. It is no longer that. It is now more conservative. Conservatives more extreme right wing, and so we are hoping to take the place of where Labour has vacated as the Workers' Party, and caring for the workers.
What out on your campaign, what are they looking like for you winning? Or
it's very hard. It's very hard. I've got a serious issue with the independents standing against me, and I think, in all honesty, what's happened is there is an ex former Labour councillor who seems to be the strength behind her campaign, and I feel what's going on is trying to. They must have a pact with the Labour Party or the Labour candidates, so that they can divide the vote and let Labour MPs get through, such as Nashar or in Bradford South, Judith Cummins. So they're trying to split the vote so that Labour can win again. And I think that's what the dirty tactics are.
There is dirty politics being played out. We see it in other places, and we see it here as well. Overall in UK, how many are you fielding? Quite a lot of.
We've got it. Had it been an October election like we were hoping it would be, then we were hoping to have over 500 MP candidates standing. But as it was called so quickly, I think we've got 151 or 153.
Okay.
Which is still substantial for a small party that's only 5 years old.
Yeah. Obviously you've got quite a few days left. You're very busy, and I'd just like to thank you for giving me the time and the opportunity to do the interview today.
It's been a pleasure, Mohammad. Thank you.
There's a lot of other issues that I wanted to ask. One of these, obviously, I think you've covered it. A lot of it. Hopefully, near the time I'll come around again. I'll be covering the event, as on the day. We'll be there at the counting centre, electoral counting centre. Everybody, thank you for listening and joining this conversation between me and Mohammad Hari Boota. I'd like to thank Mohammad Hari Boota again.
Thank you, Jabbar. Thank you very much indeed.
Final message for our listeners, viewers.
It's a very, very difficult time for all of us, for what's happening in the world, especially Gaza and the genocide that's taking place there. I've been working on Kashmir with Raja Najabat Hussain, Star-Eye Pakistan, for the last 9-10 years as well. And so we've got issues in Kashmir that, in the shadow of of what's happening in Gaza. You know, Kashmir has been forgotten about, but hopefully the voices will rise again very soon for Kashmir as well, because there's a lot of atrocities still taking place there. This election is all about, it's not all about Gaza. We should also be looking at our own environment where we have to live 24/7 as well. So decide who is the best candidate who will be able to deliver the services that you want for your area, and he must also have humanity within him as well, so that when things like Gaza comes in front of his eyes, he has tears in his eyes, on her, not just him, and that humanity is very important trait to have in a politician. And it seems that people, if you look at the coldness in Keir Starmer and the coldness in Rishi Sunak, you know, there is not an ounce of humanity left in those people, in those blank, dark eyes. Okay, so please, vote is a very expensive asset that you have, and use it wisely, and use it for the person that will work for you. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
You're welcome.
Hope to bring you another episode soon. Take care. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum.